Hello and welcome to another episode of With Enough Prep Time. I'm your host, the Nerd Man, and today we're going to be talking about the Snyderverse and really I think I want to do a deep dive and also test out this new platform that I'm using, but do a deep dive into the Snyderverse and because I don't think I've really ever talked about, whether I want the Snyderverse to continue, because I have such mixed feelings towards it. I'm someone who's a fan of Snyder, but I'm also very, very mixed on him, and I think he's extremely talented. I think he's done one of the best movies in the DC universe. That being, he's on one of the best DC movies ever, that being The Watchmen. And I am actually looking forward. I'm looking forward to the Snyder Cut. I think it's going to be good. I have high hope. All in all, it's a very, very mixed feelings that I have towards where it's going. So one thing I want to talk about is a cliffhanger supposedly going to be at the end of the movie and how I feel about that. Now, no doubt has played an extremely dirty game to be able to get his Snyder Cut released. And you know what? I respect his game. It's been dirty, but I respect it. The Snyder fans as well have played a pretty fucking dirty game as well, in the sense of suggesting that this Snyder cut actually, an actual fully done, fully rendered, fully realized Snyder movie actually existed, when really now we know it absolutely not. And Snyder obviously kept teasing this to be the case. Jason Momoa suggested very much that it was the case, that this movie was in fact complete, and all that needed to, HBO and Warner Brothers needed to do was to release it. It's hard to say what would have happened if, if this pandemic hadn't come up and HBO didn't need all of the content that it now needs. But my feeling on it in general is that I'm actually really, really happy that we're getting to see this vision. I would have preferred the DC universe to get back on its feet first before we saw the Snyder Cut. So I would have wanted the Batman released, and then soon after the Batman releases, and we've had a few DC movies now, and they were into production of the new, Shazam 2 and Aquaman 2, then release Snyder Cut. I would have been much happier with that, because I think some of the Snyder fans may have found that actually they started appreciating some of these, non-Snyder DC movies. But now I think it's created an absolute zero ground battle war between all sides of DC, and I think it's very few of us, like myself, who I just don't care where a good DC movie comes from. If a good DC movie comes from Zack Snyder, good. If a good DC movie comes from Matt Reeves, great. If a good DC movie stars Ray Fisher, fantastic. I don't give a fuck. I just like good DC movies, and I really like that, even though it's been completely an accident, it's not through any kind of planning or higher vision or anything like that. But I really like the fact that DC movies have so many different tones, because it fits the characters. The characters come from such different universes. Superman is hopeful and light, and it's full of energy, and it's science fiction, and it's and Batman's dark and noir and gritty and whatever. And the Flash is kind of pulpy and humorous, and and poppy, and the same kind of thing with Shazam, and Wonder Woman is kind of epic, kind of mythological, and all of these kind of aspects. And that's where these characters really come from different worlds, really. Aquaman with all that undersea stuff. So the fact that DC's films have really felt like that, where you have a connected universe, but with directors with distinct visions. Snyder has his distinct vision, Patty Jenkins has hers, and etc., etc. I think that's really been something that I've enjoyed, because I didn't know what to expect with each DC movie. Whereas with the MCU, I know what to expect. I know what to expect in WandaVision. I know what to expect in the next Marvel movie. It's all the same tone. It could be directed by the same director. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're particularly good either. But all of those movies, practically speaking, could have been directed by the same director. And the ones that I do like from the MCU tend to be the movies that have a little bit of directorial vision and a little bit of cinematic flair, in terms of cinematography and score, like Guardians of the Galaxy, Winter Soldier, these kind of. But DC has consistently given us different things. Now, my thing is that really, as a business decision, it makes sense to me, would go with the directors if you want somebody to be the architect of the universe, with the directors who have done the best jobs. And they gave Snyder the kingdom way, 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 way too quickly. That impacted the universe. The truth is about Zack Snyder's DC universe is it was really Elseworld kind of universe, a universe that would have worked much better as if he was doing one-off kind of adaptations of like darker graphic novels where the Justice League are different versions of themselves. I don't think it fit into a mainstream universe, and he also, I don't think, paid a lot of mind to a lot of the history of these characters like Superman and Wonder Woman. I don't think he really researched or had time to research and study their comics and study, their stories to be able to. This is a guy who's clearly a Batman fanboy. He really is. He loves Batman, and that's fine. We all love Batman, and Batman's great. But he didn't have much knowledge of the rest of these other characters. And so just little things, like obviously we've talked about Booyah and whether, Cyborg should have been saying Booyah or not. I've never liked that catchphrase, Cyborg, in the Justice League in the first place. So, whether he says Booyah or not doesn't really bother me. But when you come to characters like Zod, you'd think that Zod would say kneel before Zod, and it's like that's part of the fun of redoing Zod as a character. Part of the fun of doing Joker or Batman as a character is that, Joker has that crazy laugh, and you want to reinterpret why he has that laugh each time, and update it and make it, like the way the Joker did that was really clever. But that's the same with all DC villains, like somebody like the Joker really should be saying his catchphrases. Superman, Wonder Woman should be saying their catchphrases in these movies because they're associated with them, and that's what we like to see. We like to see updated versions of why the characters would say things like, Hera help me, by Wonder Woman, or Superman. This is maybe I don't know. This is a job for Superman. You could put it in a movie, like a more grounded Superman movie. You could say this is a job for Superman somewhere in the movie, and it'll just give people a little smile, to say that you're respecting the lineage of these characters. But anyway, this brings me to the point of what I want to really discuss in this video is where's the Snyderverse going? Should it continue? And what about this cliffhanger that Zack Snyder is saying is going to happen at the end of the Justice League movie? So Zack Snyder's recently stated that essentially his Justice League is going to end with a huge cliffhanger. And a lot of people are like, look, if you're going to do this movie, you finally got it out, let's get an ending to it. And I think a lot of people who are saying they want an end to the movie are people who just, I think they're fed up with the Snyder fandom. And then secondly, they really don't like Zack Snyder's movies. And I think those people have become somewhat unobjective in their appraisal of this Justice League movie and what it potentially can be. These people are, they're angered, they're furious at the amount of arguments and infighting that's been happening on a daily basis, whether it's Ray Fisher or it's, well, is Man of Steel a good movie? Is Batman v Superman a good movie? Were they good ideas, bad ideas? Is Wonder Woman a good movie? Is Shazam a good movie? There's all these kind of camps in the DC amongst the DC fandom that just don't seem to be able to agree that all we should care about is, like, whether you like a Snyder movie or not is I think the most important thing is to be honest, really. I mean, to be able to be honest with oneself. Like, I'm not a fanboy to the DC. I will say if a movie is bad. I'm a huge Wonder Woman fan. I say Wonder Woman 84 is bad, uncategorically. And I don't see any shame in being able to say, Zack Snyder did a bad movie with Man of Steel. I like it because of the action, but somehow narratively it's not that, it's not as cohesive and as strong as it should have been. But Batman v Superman improved with the 3-hour cut, and maybe Justice League will be a really good movie, and it looks good, and it's probably going to have great action. And I think it's the same thing with Birds of Prey. I have no problem saying Birds of Prey is a bad non-Zack Snyder movie. There's this whole kind of camp of, like, you have to be with Snyder, or you have to be with whatever movie's good to you, at least. Just be with whatever movie's good. Don't say just because Snyder didn't direct it or Snyder didn't have part of it that it's somehow an inferior product. They are all of the DC movies. I mean, like Suicide Squad, I like, but whatever, people don't like that. Batman v Superman, I like Wonder Woman, I like Joker, I like Shazam. I think all of those are good movies worthy of celebrating. There are some bad ones. Wonder Woman 84. I think Aquaman's pretty bad, even though it made $1 billion. But hey, it made $1 billion, so what do I know? But it seems to be with Snyder fans, if it doesn't have some influence, or it isn't dark and introspective and all of these kind of things, then that they're not going to support it. I mean, I can't believe they didn't go out and support fucking Shazam. I was really saddened by that, because that movie deserved so much more. And if you're a DC fan and you didn't go and see Shazam, then you're not really a DC fan. Like, straight up. You're just not a DC fan. You're a Snyder fan. So it's like that. The two camps are like that. They're split, and it's sad. It saddens me that we're split like this. I wish we could come to terms. I will never be able to say Man of Steel is a good film or a good depiction of Superman, and I'll never be able to say, oh, you can just have any interpretation you want, and that's still the character. I just think that's a nonsense to suggest that. But I am, I am kind of interested. If this Justice League movie is good, why not allow, Zack Snyder to continue his universe in some form or fashion? He was royally screwed. I don't agree that he ultimately deserved to be able to finish the Justice League. I believe it was the $300 million of the people who invested in the Justice League. They had ultimate decision. That's how capitalism, the film industry works. It's not about, oh, you deserve it, and it's the artist's vision. If the artist's vision isn't making money, then you can fire them and you can do whatever you want. However, the timing was insensitive. What happened to him, wasn't great, and I'm glad he's getting his movie. Now, people like Walter Hamada coming out and saying, this is leading nowhere, this is just going to be a cul-de-sac, I think is really unfortunate kind of and venomous language. I can understand the language given the context of the absolute civil war that's going on within the DC universe, as I've said, between these two camps, those who like non-Snyder movies and those who like Snyder movies, those who people who say, hey, look, the Joker did a dark movie and made $1 billion. How come Zack Snyder's dark movies didn't make $1 billion? And they've got a point. They do have a point, because the narrative structure of the Joker was a better narrative structure than the Snyder movies. Wasn't maybe as visually interesting, or it didn't have as cool powers or action scenes, but the fact of the matter was, it was the director knew how to tell a story from A to B to C, which is something that Snyder has a problem with. Now, that being said, I think if the Snyder cut is good, that we could potentially be able to continue the Snyderverse only insofar as having it as like a HBO Max kind of thing, that you have a side universe of the HBO Max, get DC running, get a proper Superman movie, get a proper Wonder Woman 3 movie where it's not goofy and silly and all of this kind of thing. Get your Shazams, get your the Batman out there, see the lay of the land. Once you've got all of these movies out, check what the lay of the land is. And if Snyder's vision happens to be the best way forward, because it's got it's got good reviews and it's a good movie, then maybe bring Snyder back, perhaps put him on more of a leash, make sure he's got a really, really great screenwriter to work with, and then, move on with the Snyderverse. Don't just call it a cul-de-sac. You don't know what it is yet. We don't know what it is yet. We don't know what it is till it's seen. Now, in terms of him leaving a cliffhanger, I don't mind, but I do think that is going to fuel even more the division that is going on within this tiresome fandom. I've never been so more tired of being part of a fandom than being in the DC fandom. It's boring and stupid and repetitive, having to have the same arguments. We're still having an argument over whether Man of Steel was a good film in 2013, right? And we're still arguing over this movie. It's not bloody Citizen Kane. We shouldn't be discussing this movie still. It's not that great to be discussing it all these years later, and it's the same kind of battleground over BVS, and it's the same battleground over Shazam. None of these movies, like even Wonder Woman, isn't good enough to be debated endlessly as to its value and merit and how good it is. It's just not. They're not that good movies, to be honest. None of them are better than Titanic or Goodfellas or any proper like cinematic movie. They're not that fucking good. So having these endless debates over their quality is really it's tiresome. And I think my only problem with that, I wouldn't mind him having a cliffhanger, but the fact that that's going to fuel an army of people to continue disrupting other people's projects that are going out in the DC universe, like Flashpoint, like the Batman movie, these people are not DC fans. Some of them are straight up, they are just oh, Vishal, hi man. The Superman fandom is so toxic. People were putting Tyler's Superman against Cavill's. Yeah. And did you see the storyboards for JL 2 and 3? No, I haven't seen those storyboards yet, Vishal. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's so toxic. You're right. And they are putting Tyler's Superman against Cavill's Superman. And it's just like neither of them are that great. Let's be, let's be honest. I mean, it's nice to have, for me, as a classical Superman fan, to have something resembling what I think of when I think of Superman. But Tyler Hoechlin isn't like the greatest be all and end all. I want to see a movie Superman done well. It can be Cavill, if it has to be Cavill, but I want to see a movie Superman done well. So thanks, Vishal, for your comments. Shazam and Man of Steel are two of my favorites. Yeah. Are two of my favorite DCU movies. I loved Shazam. How are you? Thank you. Yeah, I know, it's cool. I'm good, man. So yeah, in terms of the cliffhanger, as I was saying, the cliffhanger is something that I'm just worried is really going to fuel people into really galvanizing and being as disruptive and complaining and entitled as possible and continually going on how Zack Snyder was screwed. And, especially if it turns out that some people really still don't like the Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, I'll keep a close eye on it, because I think BVS and Man of Steel I don't like Man of Steel, but I still think that the criticisms against it were too harsh. I think the criticisms against BVS were too harsh. Basically, a lot of the critiques of BVS and Man of Steel and Suicide Squad, they weren't MCU movies. That was the basic critique of these movies, that they weren't MCU movies. And it's like, no, they don't have to be MCU movies. They can be different. They can have their own identity. I like at least what Zack Snyder was trying to do with these movies. I don't know that he always succeeded, but I at least saw what he was attempting to do and thought, no, I don't want the DC to just replicate what Marvel is doing, right? So I was totally for having a more serious superhero universe. So Vishal says, I really like Tyler's Clark Kent and Suits. He's better than Cavill, but Cavill looks more like Superman. I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think I often say that Ty Hoechlin looks a little bit to me like he'd play a really good Count Dracula. It doesn't strike me as like a Superman look. But having said that, his Clark Kent is on point. And actually, when I saw the first episode, I kind of, the first 5 minutes when he was getting to know Lois in the Daily Planet, I kind of wanted that. I wanted that show rather than him being this father living in Smallville. I mean, I'm enjoying it a lot, but I don't know how much appeal it has to people outside of like DC fans. I mean, I'll be curious to see if this gets like a lot of people really excited about Superman who aren't already excited about Superman. I do like it a lot, though. Yeah, he does. He looks a little bit like Dracula, but yeah, I think he's better than Cavill. But I don't think I think Cavill could do a good Superman movie. I want my personal thing. I would rather they reboot a new Superman franchise movie, year two movie in the Patterson universe. That's what I want to do. And yeah, I hate Batwoman too. The show's crap, and the two episodes are some of the best content on the CW have put out. Absolutely agree, Vishal. So yeah, I mean, and Vishal, tell me, what do you think? What's your view on the Snyderverse continuing after the Justice League? Are you for? Are you against it? What you know? Just what's your opinion on that? But yeah, as I said, my opinion. I think you've what we need to do is kind of start trying to heal as you know, as DC fans, and not just thinking about, oh, it has to be Snyder, or it has to be like, let everyone play in the DC sandbox, see what comes out the best, and then go with that. At the moment, I really dig the idea of letting Todd Phillips really run with a dark universe where he explores Batman villains and maybe a couple of Superman villains in the way that he explored the Joker. I would love that. You know, or I would really, really fucking love, you know, the Matt Reeves Batman universe to create its own more grounded Justice League, you know, like a Wonder Woman who's more grounded in that universe, or a Superman who's more a little bit less, almighty, powerful Messiah, like in Snyder's universe. So I would love to see that be done in the Matt Reeves universe, and run concurrently with what's going on in the DCEU, and maybe have them meet each other at some point. I think that would be great. I think all of those ideas. Let's just see how the Flashpoint comes out. I've not got high hopes for the Flashpoint. It looks like an absolute mess to me. I think Suicide Squad looks like them trying to be Marvel again, and I think that's sad and unfortunate. And you know, but as I said, like, the only thing that I have against the cliffhanger is just fueling the more toxic side of Snyder's fandom. But apart from that, I'd be happy for Zack Snyder to at least be able to be on a leash and maybe continue his dark, Mad Max Justice League Elseworld that he's doing, as long as it doesn't get in the way of everyone else, and as long as all of us look. If Zack Snyder makes a good movie, I'll say he made a good movie. It's that simple. It's not that hard. When Patty Jenkins makes a bad one, I say she made a bad one. It's not that hard. And I say, look, don't bring her back unless she has a new attitude towards Wonder Woman. You can't be making Wonder Woman trash like Wonder Woman 84. She's too. Wonder Woman was on the precipice of becoming very big, and Patty Jenkins took her like 5 steps back, and I don't appreciate that. You know, so if she can't play in the sandbox and get on board, then she needs to move aside for somebody else to direct the Wonder Woman movie who knows what they're doing. And it's the same. It's the same with Snyder. If he makes a good movie, he makes a good Justice League movie, give him something to do after that in the DC universe. Don't ever make this man architect of the universe until he has really proved himself to be able to change, to be able to listen to criticism and hear people out in terms of what they have problems with in this universe. So is there anything else I really want to talk about? So Vashal said, if JL is good, I don't mind it being in its own universe. Yeah, that's what I was saying. And then you can kind of universes, you could maybe even do, somewhere down the line, in the Snyder universe, a Watchmen, Justice League crossover. You could really do that kind of thing if you let him maybe make one more thing on HBO Max before getting him back into the cinematic universe again. So, yeah, that's really it. I mean, I know I've rambled on and just said, like, it's just unfortunate where DC is at the moment. I like Zack Snyder as a director, but I think his fans, they just don't see any wrong in him. And I don't see any other fandom that does that, where they can't, I do. I see MCU fandom is like that. Some of Star Wars fandom is like, the fandom is like that nowadays, where they just can't see anything wrong in their properties. But the difference is with DC, it's not even just like, oh, they can't see anything wrong with DC movies in general. It's that they only focus, like, Zack Snyder is like this saint who cannot do anything wrong in his movies, cannot be criticized, is beyond impeachment. And yeah, as Bashal said, it seems a little bit of a worship culture. And anybody who supports Zack Snyder, they're supported. Ray Fisher, they think he's Jesus. Yeah, Ray Fisher, all of these guys, Jason Momoa, anybody who comes out in support of the Snyder Cut, then they're good with Snyder. Anything good in DC that happens, then it's because Lord Snyder, made it that way. Wonder Woman comes out, like, oh, it was Lord Snyder who made Wonder Woman 1 good and Wonder Woman 2 is trash because it was Jeff Johns. It's like, that isn't even remotely true. If you look at the history of the development of that film, that isn't, there's an Alan Heinberg interview that I might even link you to, where in this video, where he basically says that Zack Snyder was there for like 2 or 3 days on this script, and the script went through months and months and months of rewrites and rewrites and rewrites, and Zack Snyder was there for 3 days. He was nothing to do with what happened with Justice League. He was on the set of a Wonder Woman for 1 day, and that was just the day where they took photo of Diana that ended up in BVS. So again, it's like Lord Snyder. If it isn't Lord Snyder, and they hate any movie that does well critically or commercially that has nothing to do with Snyder. That's what they do, and it's weird. It's a weird place to be in. Very, very strange. So no, I don't think Zack Snyder should be taking over the reins of the DCEU anytime soon. But I do think, I hope his movie is good, especially for his daughter. I really hope his movie is good. And I hope that at the end of it, that he is able to continue in the DC somehow. I'd love to see him do a movie on The Question or some oddball things, or, as I said, a Watchmen versus Justice League eventually. But I just don't want him. I want a mainstream Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman that are not, being shaped by Zack Snyder and his vision. So that's me. Thanks so much, Vishal, as well, for watching, and really appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Please like, subscribe. Do me a favor, give me a high five. Click that, smash that like button. Do comment below. Let me know what you think of the Snyderverse, whether it should continue, and what you think of this cliffhanger. Should he have been able to have a cliffhanger? Should they have said, no, you just round this movie up and that's it? And also, subscribe for more content. I'm here at the moment in lockdown, super lockdown. My country has basically been turned almost into a police state. So I'm in the super lockdown. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of these videos for now. So have a good day, Vishal, as well, man. Thanks so much for watching. And Yeah, I'll uh, I'll catch you on the flip side. Love you 3000.